I'm Adam Manis.
And I'm Peter Martin.
Peter, I want to talk about something today that's been kind of bugging me.
Ooh, pray tell.
Well, most people would describe this sound as what?
That's pentatonics, baby.
They would describe it as pentatonics, but
Yep.
is it really pentatonics? Pentatonics is almost this own subgenre within jazz. You think
Yes.
McCoy Tyner and Corea, you think Kenny Kirkland and Brad Meldau, you think yours truly here, Peter Martin. But I don't know, Peter, let's play a little F blues, and I want you to play a solo.
Okay.
And play it quote unquote pentatonics style.
Okay.
But let's clock what you're actually playing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. So that was not a pentatonic scale. In fact, you hardly played any pentatonic scales that I caught.
I was trying, buddy. I was trying.
There's a lot more going on, but actually it's a little bit more simple than thinking about one particular scale. And that's what I want to get into today, Peter. I want to talk about what's actually happening when we think about pentatonics. So let's lay out how we're going to do this. So first we're going to listen to, I think, two of the most classic examples of the quote-unquote pentatonic sound. We're going to listen to McCoy Tyner's Passion Dance from The Real McCoy, and we're going to listen to Chick Corea's Matrix from Now He Sings, Now He Sobs.
Nice.
We're going to look at those transcriptions as we are listening.
Yep.
And we're going to notice some things, or we're going to try to notice some things.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
And then after that, I have a couple of etudes that I've written for beginners to kind of get into this sound. If you've been like wondering, well, how do I even start? I understand it's a pentatonic, but I've never been able to make it sound like McCoy. Well, it's because McCoy's not actually playing a pentatonic scale.
Yeah.
Right? But we have some ways that you might at least dip your toe in the waters of
I
this
think it's
great
great
sound.
because this is one of the most sought after sounds.
For sure.
One of the most requested explanations from us and from others in terms of how it's one of the most desired sounds.
That's right.
You know, but it is kind of hard to get into. But I think what's fun about this is once you get into it, it starts to almost like play itself eventually. So
For sure.
it's going to be fun.
It's going to be great. Peter,
Yep.
let's bring up McCoy's Passion Dance.
Okay, I've got it right here, my friend. You ready?
Let's listen. So this is just the solo.
Okay.
So good, man. 1967.
Ron Carter bass. Elvin Jones drums.
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
So we're already
Good, because I was about to I was going to stop at the very first bar.
So we're already seeing, you know, what it is and what it's not.
Yep.
So the first phrase, that's quoting the melody, right?
Yep.
This is not a pentatonic situation here.
Right.
If anything, what we're going to be talking about today is a concept called triad pairs. And that creates something called a hexatonic scale, which is a 6-note scale.
Which is a word I've never used before. So don't worry if you
don't
haven't
really
either.
need to think about it as a scale, because as we're seeing McCoy do here, just in the first few phrases,
so
we're
great.
seeing the theory proved, right? So first of all, the melody of Passion Dance is going to prove our triad pairs theory. So over this F7 chord, you're going to hear McCoy and Chick and Kenny Kirkland and you play a lot of F triad and E flat triads in varying combinations, going to be borrowing from each other, but that creates this hexatonic 6-note scale that you can create all of these cool shapes with, starting
Play that
with
hexatonic, my friend, one more time.
the hexatonic scale.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? It's just like a dominant scale, but without the 6, right?
And I
Without
just
the
want
D.
to emphasize to everybody, don't worry if you don't know this. I don't know this.
It's not a
This
thing.
is my first time hearing this.
I mean,
shame on me.
No, these players are not going to play it as a scale. But
Right.
that's basically what it is. It's if on a dominant chord, you're going to hear a lot of F triad and E flat triad. That's not like they're never going to play a D.
No, but it is. It's already even when you play it like that scale. I mean, it's just like a major scale or the so-called bebop scale or Dorian or anything. You're not going to hear players play it up and down, but you hear the inclusivity of
Yeah.
In this solo. You already hear that even when you just lay out the scale. So I think it is an important thing to kind of grasp. It's an interesting thing at the least.
It's a really interesting. If we look at bar 4,
yeah.
it's not a pentatonic scale, right?
Right.
That is that hexatonic, but more than that hexatonic, it's a triad pair between that F major and E flat major.
Yeah. Why don't we just kind of slow things down a little bit? It'll sound a little bit ridiculous,
yeah.
but you know what I'm saying? There it is. That's kind of a good place, those first, 8 bars,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's a complete a musical sentence.
And this whole thing is over just one chord, just over an F7. And so you get a lot of this kind of thing. And you're going to hear in that next phrase, right? That's again proving our sort of F major E flat. You're gonna see also and hear also a lot of like triad, what we call triad +1. This is where you have one of the triads, like the F triad, but you borrow one note from that E flat.
Yep. Like in bar 7 coming down.
Totally. Yeah, you're gonna hear this all over the place.
We'll take it back.
So good. And you can see McCoy just making shapes out of this,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think one thing, even as this starts to kind of hopefully open up your there's sort of that intersection of the harmonic and the melodic and the possibilities. Really be thinking about the rhythms, because even with the
rhythms
slow
are the
down,
most important.
Yeah,
you can kind of see how McCoy is using the shape of his own hand, right? You're going to see a lot of 4-note groupings because you can get those. You get all kinds of things. We're going to work on this later, by the way. We're going to have some etudes. We're going to work on these 4-note groupings and different triad +1s and things like that, and even how to take it out. Another key, Peter, it's the rhythm, but also look at those left-hand voicings, a lot of fourth voicings. So voicings built on fourths. And this is so great because when he takes it out, which we'll talk about too at the end, how to take it out, like all of this. Moving it down a whole step, moving it up a half step, going to a completely different tonal center, like a F sharp minor or something like that.
Yes.
All of these things are in play with those fourth voicings. It makes it super easy to kind of slip slide around. Let's keep it going, man.
Okay.
Bar 14, 15, 16. Again, those triad shapes.
4-note,
And then you can move them outside of that tonal center.
And then there, you got that. And look, there might be some, I think these are actually 3-note voicings, might have been missed in the transcription. But if you look at like right here, and this even goes back to the earlier part when McCoy hits those fifths, those very McCoy-ish fifths on 4, right? Let me take this back to regular tempo because that'll make it make more sense. So where he's placing 1, 2, 3, we can kind of hear it. Let's go all the way back to the beginning because you'll hear it, I think first in bar 8, but it really has an impact and sets up these 4-note phrases in the right hand. So here it is on 1. Actually on the and a 4, kind of jabbing. And a 4.
It's so impactful.
On 4 there.
Yeah, so good.
1, 4. And I mean, I know this isn't exactly part of this, these shapes, but they set him up to be able to execute the shapes in the right hand.
Well, if you stick around to the end, the etudes, I'm including those fifths and those shapes.
Awesome.
Because
I'm sticking around, don't worry.
Then you better, because you're here. But it's such a huge part of the sound. Like you almost can't have, to get this sound from this era, you can't have one without the other. Like you gotta have those fifth bombs and you gotta have the fourth voicings and then those triad pairs, that F major and E flat major, which we'll dig into, is so good. Keep it going, man.
And you know what's fun too? I was just saying, as you're learning this, so you don't get overwhelmed. You don't have to be able to play all this or hit those fifth bombs on 4 and everything. Just be aware of it, right? So you're working out the right hand stuff, just start noticing, because then when you add this in later to your playing, it'll be making sense. Take it out. Yeah.
And you can see, hold on, so pause right there.
Yeah.
So if we look at bar like 20, from 28 or so,
Yeah.
you're gonna see, this is really now McCoy, and you can see the left hand
Yep.
is up.
Yep.
So this is a lot, this is kind of a triad pair of B major and A major.
Nice.
Which is a whole tritone away from our F, right? So it's as
Yep.
far away from F as you can get. And this is something that McCoy and Chick does a lot, is they'll kind of pick key centers that are very far away, and they'll take it in the same kinds of shapes with the same sort of triad pair structure and the same fourth voicings, but they just slip around on it.
Yep.
And it's so effective. Back it up, Peter, if you might.
Let me just make note of that too. What is that? That's a little bit of blues, right?
Yeah,
So
sure.
that's not the straight triad pairs, but it just shows how you can kind of add that in with there going up to the flatted fifth. Sorry, I'll take it back a little bit.
Here's the 26.
Yep.
All right, through here. That's that B and A triad pair.
Yeah. And that's cool because and then it looks like
And
then he's go to G flat
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
triad.
Well, that kind of down to, yeah, exactly. Like this D flat sort of,
Right.
yeah, kind
D
of
flat to G flat.
E flat minor maybe. Yeah, some kind of.
And then he doesn't need to do a lot with the left hand to reestablish that F. Keep going from here.
Yeah. Notice how ergonomical everything is.
Oh, so much.
It's not hard to play. You're just rolling your wrists.
Yeah.
you know?
And then the precision with the rhythm. And so he hints at, well, he played this before on the first page. You know, this is still kind of indicative of what you were talking about, of the triad plus one with the ninth.
Yeah.
But he's using it with triplets now. So it's not like biddle diddle, it's biddle diddle diddle do biddle 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 diddle dip boo biddle. Oh. Woo. But he keeps that left hand saying 4.
All right, let's let it roll, Peter. Let's
Okay.
enjoy this. Again,
Blues.
rolling his hand. It's fast, but that's ergonomical, pianistic. Slip and sliding around.
There, the right hand went on 4.
You can notice that
Left hand.
left hand going up a half step.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Tune in next week for a full explanation.
Nope.
But that groove, that backbeat.
Unstoppable. Again, he's still allowing for lots of space and
Yep.
different texture changes, those double stops.
And he's got just that such well-established home base to
Yeah.
come to at any time. So he travels away. And then it's just a matter of is he going to hit it on 1, on 4, or on the and of 4.
Man, so good. Just let it swirl, you know?
Yeah.
Let it swirl. You don't have to do everything all at once. Give yourself some room.
Helps when you got Elvin Jones, Ron Carter with you on for the ride.
So
right?
very helpful. Ah. So this is 1967. McCoy coming out of his time with John Coltrane around this time.
Yes.
He's just finishing up his sort of tenure in Train's band.
I'd like to be Joe Henderson stepping into this little situation.
Dude. And then, Peter, next slide, please. Just 2 years later, one of our very favorite all-time musicians,
Yes.
Chick Corea. And this is our very own transcription from our very own Max Gamise for our Language of the Masters course here at Open Studio.
Yes.
But this is 2 years later, 1969, Chick Corea playing an F blues.
Yes.
And
playing the hells out of it.
oh my gosh, called The Matrix. And let's see if we can notice some similarities.
Let's enter the Matrix.
Let's enter the Matrix. Okay, stop. Because already we're noticing some things, right? So we're noticing that it's not just pentatonics. It's like he's outlining some of these shapes. I love that. Right? So that's not even, that's like a hexatonic scale, but without it's like a G minor and F major triad pair.
Yeah.
So, right? So we don't have to just like be myopic about it either. We can sort of pick our poison. Same thing with the McCoy solo. It's not like every F7 McCoy is playing F and E flat. Like you can pick what color palette you want, tonal color palette you want. And Chick here there's a lot of E flat and F, as you're going to see.
Yeah.
But there's G minor and F, right? So the other way from that F.
Yeah. There's some D major.
Some D major to
bar
get, again,
8.
thinking about getting
triad.
outside,
Yep.
right? And using triads as the way to do it. And look at those voicings, Peter. Do those look familiar?
Oh, so great.
Stacks of fourths, buddy.
Yep.
Stacks of fourths on the left hand, just like McCoy.
Yep. And I think too, like I'm even looking at that one in bar 8. Or is it? Let's listen to that. Because that's D, I'm saying D major, but really melodically it's, well, I guess he starts there, which is like a little bit of a blues kind of, like a lot of times when you're combining these different things and let the melody and certainly the rhythm, gang, like a really hip rhythm sort of link it. Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's almost like you're saying D major hexatonic over the F, right?
Yeah. Look at you.
Come on, now I've got it. I couldn't even say the word hexatonic at the beginning of this episode.
He was like, what is that, 7.5 notes?
Well, I know the pentagram from my because I grew up in the 70s, of course, listening to acid rock music, but the hexagram was a little bit. But then the way So, and then the other thing that's great about this, and we saw this on the Passion Dance, like this is a blues. Passion Dance is just straight F7, but it's very similar kind of playing. But I think from the beginning with Chick Corea, he kind of loosens things up in that, like he's already off of the 4 chord.
A lot of people don't realize that the Matrix is a blues.
Right, he's almost playing it like it's Passion Dance, you know, which is great. Should we listen?
Let's listen.
Because that's like the 4 chord. 4 notes, groupings.
Yeah, making it easy on himself.
Now, what do you think about this? Because this is something I heard Chick Corea do. I mean, it wasn't like he was the first person to play this, but he always knew how to place this at a cool place.
That chromatic.
Yeah.
Well, we heard McCoy do a similar thing too, right?
Right. And I'm sure McCoy wasn't the first, but maybe Chick heard. Yeah. But I mean, because it's almost like that, instead of the beep, 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 it's like that major and minor, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's a nice thing to combine with the more pentatonic-y kind of playing or hexatonic.
It's something like you would hear later Brad Meldau adopt that same kind of sound.
Definitely. Ever heard of him? Woo! And the rhythmic precision. Come on, Chick.
That's what's so important.
Yeah.
With both McCoy and Chick.
Yeah.
The rhythmic precision.
Blues. So I always like to think of like bigger picture stuff that you hear commonality between these. A lot of people will pick up on that for sure. But the blues playing, and there's different ways to do it. But like, when do they go to it? When does Chick Corea go to it? When does McCoy go to it? There's no right or wrong answer, but there's things for us to kind of learn.
It's how it feels, man.
It's how it feels.
It's punctuation.
Like, when did it feel like that he wanted to put that in his story? I think, do you have to have it? Well, they had to have it to tell their story. So it's fun to see where.
And Chick actually using some more diminished sounds in some of these lines as well. Like if you look at that, that's got a bit of a diminished flavor to it.
Not double, but almost.
And
that's just some original shit right there. Damn.
Let's keep it rolling.
Can we go back to that though? Because I like that.
Yeah.
Me likey. And the way he sets that up with that, right? Hey, let's let him play. It's better. But the left hand really sets it up. A lot of times we think of these like fourth voicings being punctuation for what's happening in the left hand or reactionary. But some of the most advanced usage of that is to set it up.
Again, not chromatic, or
No.
sorry, not pentatonic.
No.
A lot of chromaticism in there, a lot of triads that you're hearing throughout, especially to bring things together. But definitely wouldn't say this is just all pentatonic based. This is not.
No. I think what you hear is like there even, like that's implying, but it's not like a lot of, that's like very small percentage of what's happening, like the C minor pentatonic.
I'm not saying it's not a part of it, but to describe the sound is like, oh, that's that pentatonic stuff. And it's a little bit deeper than that for sure.
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, even though a lot of times I'll think about C minor pentatonic over the F, right? It's very
you're playing
rare.
A naturals all over
Exactly,
the place. Yeah.
exactly. And it's usually in the context of that, of that.
Well,
but it's also that, the fourth and the third, almost like then you've got the blues of the minor third and the major third.
For sure, as another form of punctuation. Let's finish out the solo and look at how we could practice this.
Displacement. Space. Journey. Not the band. Single line. Down in the tenor region, alto region.
Comes one of the sickest lines ever. Get out.
Lengthening for the story. Ooh. Seven
Using that
beat
shape.
phrases. Five rhythm.
It's so good, man. Apex of the solo right there. Tritone. Four note groupings. There it is, y'all. McCoy, Tyner, and Chick Corea. So let's, Peter, talk a little bit how if we're just kind of dipping our... I know, man. It's as good as it gets.
Yeah, man.
It's as good as it gets.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about how we can practice this if we're just starting to dip our toes in this. Producer Caleb, could you bring up the first example of what we might need? So here I have two triad pairs, and I wanted to highlight these two because I wanted you to see what you might use over the F7, right? And what you might use to take it out, right? So we heard both McCoy and Chick taking it out quite a bit by taking this fourth voicing here, F, B flat, and E flat, up a half step to that F sharp, B, and E, and using, sometimes we heard McCoy use that sort of like B major, A major. So these are, here's the in, right? That F major, E flat major on an F7. And then if we want to take it out, we simply move our left hand voicing F, B flat, E flat up a half step, right? And we can do that. So the cool thing is if you're playing a blues, you can use this formula of the triad, the major triad on the root and the major triad from that seventh, from the dominant seventh, right? So if you're going to the four chord, B flat, what would the triad pair be? That's right.
A flat and B flat.
A flat, B flat. If you're going to the five,
B flat and C? No,
That's
we're
right.
on C.
yeah, B flat and C.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you could do a 2 chord, if you wanted to do a 2/5 and you did like a G7, you could do that F major. Exactly. But what you'll hear Chick and McCoy and a lot of other folks do is they're usually on a blues like this, it'll be either the 2 or the 5 is like bar 8 kind of.
Yeah.
And so they might do the 5, and then do something like something super out.
Yeah.
Like that B major, A major triad. And then back to that.
It's almost like using it as a dominant or 4 area that you'd be going to instead of that.
Tension and release,
up.
man.
Yeah.
It's using that outness for tension and release.
And especially when you get these faster tempos, this is faster than Passion Dance, but both of these is like you can sort of calibrate how long you want to shift out, and maybe thinking about the out as more just another place that you're going. And then what's so great about Chick and McCoy and everybody who does this stuff is like not coming back cookie cutter, like on exactly the 9th bar or every 4 bars or whatever. It's like, and one of the easy ways to see that is just with McCoy when he hits those on 4. That's like shifting it over 1 beat.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's like advanced applications start to be is like where are you going to place these things within the overall form.
So we do have a PDF, by the way. It's in the description. If you want to grab that PDF, we have all of these up here. Let's look at, Caleb, the next graphic, and let's look at how we can just dip our toe into just starting to practice this sound. That, F major, E flat major on an F7, that's a go-to. That's something that you should really have in your hands. So if we wanted to just work on that.
And I would encourage folks to also like go through these shapes as chords, just to sort of for hand position's sake, or whatever instrument you're playing these on.
Well, so this is kind of what we have here, where we can practice rolling up, going up, down, going down.
Yeah.
This is really the basic Bob version. You could go down on that F, but you're doing that F triad, E flat triad in the first inversion, F in the first inversion, E flat in the second, F in the second, E flat root, and then back down, F in the root, E flat in the root. Inversions galore. Right? So this is really, you need to have this.
Yeah.
You can practice this on all 12 keys for a month and you will be doing really good work because you're going to be getting these. And you could do different directions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could do
You could break
triplets.
it up. Yeah.
Right? There's no shame in just getting these triad pairs together on a dominant chord.
Break it up like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, you can break it.
Definitely a fantastic exercise, and one that you should use even as you're first learning this in small ways. Use your imagination for some creative, I'm just gonna say pentatonic, but it's hexatonic practice.
Hexatonic, baby.
But
Triad
this is
pairs.
the thing, like this, understanding this and getting this to be sort of intuitive.
Yeah.
So you don't have to think about it. It's one of the most, ironically, one of the most important things that you can do to get your pentatonic playing together, even though it's not pentatonic.
Pentatonic play. You're part of the problem, Peter.
But you think
You're
about
part of the
this.
problem.
Like if you're a trumpet player, it's like, who's a master of this on the trumpet is Freddie Hubbard. Like he knows.
Absolutely.
And so being able to,
So you're splitting the directions. Yeah, absolutely. So important. Okay, I have some functional etudes. I have 3 functional etudes that'll help you get not only this sound more integrated, other than this is kind of an exercise, right? This is definitely, you could play that over a solo, but it's going to sound contrived and like an exercise. But here's some etudes that sound a little bit more natural. They're still etudes, but they get the left hand involved here on our F7. And so we have here, if we look at our left hand, just the same thing. This is a little 6-bar phrase that we're going to take up our triad pairs. And we're going to do what these great artists have done, which is fragment our pairs here. So
fragment it, baby.
So these are in thirds. So we're not even doing the whole triad, right? We're using fragments of the triads. So F fragment, E flat fragment, F fragment, E flat, and then just kind of going
It's almost
down.
like melodic voice leading too by using the right parts of the fragment.
Right? How great is that?
Sounds
And
good.
we can do the same thing starting on the third. That was starting on the root of F.
Yeah.
Right? Same kind of thing. And on the 5th of F. Right? All of these. And then just kind of coming down
Yep.
is a great way to get that shape. This is how you would actually use it
Absolutely.
in real life, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we want from an etude.
And y'all notice.
And then you have these fourth voicings in your left hand,
Yep.
right? Moving those fourths around.
Diatonic fourth.
Diatonic fourth.
And I mean, notice that. So that's. And then that is straight pentatonic coming out of it. Like a C minor pentatonic, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Down that pentatonic.
So when, in terms of Adam saying, this is how you would actually use it, that's why this gets associated with that pentatonic scale. Oftentimes it might start like that. You might.
Yeah.
And then end like that. The same way you might, do a blues thing or something. There's a pentatonic sound. There's a blues sound. There's this triad pair hexatonic sound. These are all devices that we set up shapes for us to be able to craft our melodies with, right?
That's right.
I'm shifting.
But if you look at this last one, right? That's why
that
it's
one
like,
doesn't end pentatonic.
right. Don't sleep on the notes that are part of because the pentatonic is within the hexatonic. The pentatonic is 5 notes within that hexatonic thing.
It's almost like the pentatonic is more like the hexatonic really is a scale that you would choose from. The pentatonic is more of just a shape with different things that are included within it.
We're putting all this stuff on it after the fact.
Right.
Ideally, we're just getting to the chromatic scale.
Exactly.
And being able
is all this within the chromatic scale?
All of this is within the chromatic scale.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of like picking our spots.
Yeah.
Caleb, let's check out the second etude here.
That would be etude number 2.
Etude number 2. We've got 3. And download
the
the PDF if you want to just take these with you. That's our gift to you. So this is more of a way to practice what we were talking about before about that triad plus 1. So this is using our triads but borrowing one note from the other triad. So here's our F major triad. We're going to add between the first 2 notes of the triad a note from the E flat. Same thing here. Here's our E flat major triad. We're going to add a note from F.
Yep.
And just onwards and upwards with that. That's right. And then down, we're going to do some.
And I'm sorry. That's, I just want to clarify for myself. I've played this stuff and I've never thought about it like this, but that would be taking that same shape of like if, of that hexatonic scale, right? And just moving it up diatonically within the hexatonic.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're using the shape and we're moving it around. Exactly.
Pretty much, exactly.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And then coming down.
That's great.
We're going to come down just the triads. And this is what's so cool about triads. It's 3 notes. If you put them into 4-note groupings, you're going to get some cool stuff happening naturally. So this one, we come down twice, and then we do different shapes.
Yeah.
But this is really just, right?
Yep.
Just, you know what I mean? So here's our F, E flat.
See a lot.
F, E flat, right?
Yeah.
So getting to work these in the different directions, inside and out, is so important. So the whole thing, see if I can play it. And I'm just moving those fourth voicings around.
Nah, I was wrong.
You got it. You got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
And this is just in the key of F. So take this also into the key of C, the key of B flat, the key of G. You don't have to go through all 12 keys, but just start off keys that you're going to play a bunch, right? G is a good one. Look at him. He's already transposing.
Yeah, this is a fantastic exercise.
Isn't that great? It's just
like this one.
Thank you very much. So let's check out the third etude, because the third etude we're going to practice now taking it out in a way where we're going to use that B major, A major triad that we saw in the first example of what we were doing, right? So this is something that you might see McCoy or Chick use this kind of technique, but it's a little more prescribed here so that we can practice it. So I love this fragment here. Right, so we've got a note from the E flat, from the F, from the F, from the E flat, from the F. Yeah. And then we're going to practice taking it to that A major and B major, right? That's what this is. Here's our A major, B major, A major, B major, A major. We're just using that hexatonic scale. That's right. And then the same thing here, right? That's all that A major, B major triad. Right? And then we can practice too our left hand. Slipping and sliding.
Yeah.
And notice that these are so easy to play.
Ergonomic, we might even say.
And I wanted to do that for a reason, because these should be easy to play. You're not seeing, we were looking at those transcriptions of McCoy and Chick. We're not seeing anything, they can play anything, and they do, but we're not seeing anything most of the time that's too difficult for them to play. They're playing stuff that's easy for them to play. It's why they sound so good.
Right.
So like this, here, it's just a 4-note shape to a 4-note shape. You can literally just roll through that.
That is the entire B hexatonic scale there.
That's right.
And then it's almost easier to play that 8th note phrase in that last bar. Technically on the piano at least, it's easier to play that than the actual scale.
Absolutely. Well, this is the thing. This is what you see, like when you transcribe Kenny Kirkland, when you transcribe Chick, when you transcribe you, Peter, or Jeffrey Keyser, you see things that just fit in your hands so well. It makes so much sense. Even this thing, right? Like, that looks kind of hard, but when you realize you're just going this, it's super simple, actually. It should feel really easy to play.
Yeah, and for all you guys, when you're practicing this or starting to go through this, don't get discouraged if the first time you play, you're like, wow, it's not easy for me.
Yeah.
Because what we mean sometimes by ergonomic or easier, it's right in your hands. Like we're talking about Kenny Kirkland.
That's right.
We're talking about McCoy Tyner. We're talking about folks that have really dug into this. But it's not necessarily out of your reach either. It's just, we can't always go by what's comfortable right when we first experience something. But if you want this kind of sound, these etudes right here, practice these for a week, a good 20 minutes on each of these. You will definitely start to be feeling this, and you'll be acclimating your ears to this sound.
And take it to at least 2 other keys. Transpose it to 2 other keys.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we got it, man.
I think that I now will never say I'm going to play pentatonic. I'm going to say, let me do my hexatonic stuff, my brother.
I love it. We've done it. We've done it. Awesome.
All right. Peace.
Happy practicing.
Happy practicing. Peace and piano.